We're about 3 hours before the live stream, and I'm testing this out. And I also just wanted to talk about Patreon for a second. We've got a lot of people now staying at home, a lot of people out of work. It's chaos. It's crazy. It's crazy time that we live in. And the most important thing in my book, the most important thing is not what's happening, but what we do about it and how we respond to it. So I wanted to just talk about Patreon or crowdfunding or anything of that matter with regards, because I've had some questions, people asking, well, what can I do? How did you do it? Or do you have any tips? And instead of going to each one individually, I just want to kind of talk about some general ideas that I have. I think the number one thing that you want to do is figure out what you want to do. That's pretty easy. Think of what maybe the work that you've already been doing. Is there a way to translate it into the online world? You're going to have to think of how it translates over. The moment you think of that, though, you also have to think about the type of reception and the kind of people that would benefit from watching this. Now, you have the benefit of a lot of people being at home, which is great. This is a great time to start a channel and create something of value. But at the same time, like all of us, there's a lot of people that are kind of strapped right now, and we're all trying to be very conservative with our money because obviously we don't know how long this is going to last and we need to save. So there's going to be a bit of competition and there's going to be a lot of online happening. But with that said, if you're sitting at home, why not? This beats going on Netflix, I mean, Netflix is cool and all, but you can go forward with this and still create your destiny. You can still create, something good could come out of this. At least, you're trying to make a good situation. So what you want to do is, first you want to think about what you want to do and the kinds of people you want to reach. And then you may even want to jot down, well, where are these people located? And where can you find them online? Because those are the ones that need to know about it. Now, you want to create something you want to create a method that people can support you as well. I'll talk about this later, but do not force it. Especially now, you've got to be about the service. You've got to be about helping people because that's really what we need. People don't need more stuff shoved down for what they need. What they really need is, I think people need to come together more, and we need to help one another. And I feel like that should be your focus. The focus should be helping people, and if they can help you back, great. But if not, there does not need to be reciprocation. Bah, I know that word. The reason for that is simply because you need this to be genuine. I mean, it needs to come from the heart because it's a lot of work. And then you also want to work on your teaching skills. Whatever that you're doing, you may want to just practice recording yourself a few times at least and see how it looks, show it to people, see what they think. Because a lot of it isn't exactly what you say, but how you say it and the kind of person that you are. I feel like a lot of times too, instructors keep their students not necessarily because they just want to learn the tricks. There's a lot of people that teach martial arts. There's a lot of people that teach, dance, but also just the nature of the instructor themselves. So make sure your true colors shine forward no matter what you're teaching or doing. And the most important thing that I would think of is if you can think of your skill and you can think of the people that could benefit from it, don't ever make it about yourself. Make it about them because you want to provide a service. You want to create something of value. And let's be honest, have you ever gone online and saw when people are just talking about themselves or coming from their own perspective, you have no way to insert yours into theirs, so there's no relation and you've got nothing. You won't be able to hold their attention very long. So it's, in my opinion, it's almost like a doctor. You're thinking of the right prescription to use for people's needs and helping them with that. And in a way, entertainment is a service industry because you're trying to guide people to a certain either feeling, though, kind of like movies even. So you're looking at how you can best serve people, and in that way, your focus should be on them and not yourself. Now, whatever comes back is great, but really try not to focus too hard on that. You can definitely put a pitch in there, as you can see down below. Definitely, anyone that can help support me, I just ran out of work because no more performances, but I'm doing this and I'm going to keep going regardless of what happens. I'm just going to keep pushing forward, and I feel like that's the best way to approach things like this because even worst case scenarios, even if you don't get any support, maybe you provided value of comfort. And to me, that's, people are going to remember you by how much money you made. They're not going to remember you by what you kept. but no one's going to remember you by what you kept. They're going to remember by what you gave. So to me, leaving a legacy is really important, even if it's small. A legacy, and if we all left a little bit of a legacy, imagine what kind of world we could live in. So what I think also is people want to be connected. So be real, teach, but also have some real moments, because especially now we're all in isolation, and that sucks. Well, I mean, it doesn't suck for all of us, Us introverts can weather the storm, but, I mean, we got to be mindful of the fact that we don't know. There's a lot of people that are scared, and so people do want human connection. So I think live streams, in my opinion, live streams are the way to go, because I want to be able to interact with y'all and feel like we're having conversations back and forth. This isolation is something that we're going to have to battle for a while. I mean, again, I'm more introverted, so I can deal with that a little bit, but not everyone can, and I feel like we need to have that human connection. The biggest thing I can say is try not to sell it too hard. Really, I know even if you feel desperate, focus on the value you can give. Focus on what you can provide, because that is your golden ticket. The moment you start focusing on how much money you need to make, like rent's due, how hard do I got to work, I'm going to be stressed out, it's going to show. It's going to show in your push, it's going to show in your charisma, or by how long you give. You may not have enough tenacity because you're so stressed that you give up too quick. So I know it's hard, but I think that it's important not to have an end goal. This is all just the approach. Now, when it actually comes to Patreon, they have different tiers. There's different things you can set up, but you don't always have to do Patreon. You can do PayPal or any of that. The reason why I didn't talk about that first was because it's kind of like being a motivational speaker. You could be the best motivational speaker in the world, but if you don't actually have a subject to talk about, then there's no point. You could be really good at talking about nothing, but first you got to figure out what your purpose is. And you have to have a strong purpose, I feel like, I feel like that's what people need, are purposeful people. Not people that just jabber and kind of throw fluff around, but real stuff. Even nunchucks is real. So then what you do is you create tiers. Now, I think sales funnels and all that are very effective, but they're silly. In my opinion, I mean, I know they're effective. I'm just not about that. I just create something to where create something for $1, create something for $5, $10, and then maybe $30 if you want to do personal lessons or something. But create just little perks that people can use. But for the most part, try not to make it about the perks either, but just something a little extra that you can give to people. For instance, for $30, you might have a live stream just for those people, and for 10 or 20 or whatnot, you might have some sort of special, I don't know, email, maybe you can answer 3 questions from them a month, or whatever you want. Really, you can make one personalized video for them. There's a lot of different ways that you can make this work, but whatever it is, try to be consistent with it. And I mean, I think that building the different formulas for how you the different tiers or whatever is the easiest part. Reaching people is going to be is the most challenging of them all, because people have seen a lot, people have been sold on a lot, and advertising is really there's people with college degrees trying to reach people's attention to the point where everyone's desensitized and it's really hard to reach people. But at this day and age, at this particular moment, I think what people want is connection. People are going to be isolated and they're going to be bored. Well, they might not be bored, but they may be going mad inside their houses, and these are things to address. Which is why I think live stream's great, and doing it without focusing on the money, but focusing on the value and focusing on human connection and focusing on that, I think is a fantastic approach for anyone. And again, even if worst case scenario, at least, I mean, this is at least providing value. And if we all did it, then I just feel like we would all be a little bit more community, a little bit more connected. So once you have your basic idea, just like this, it's here, but it's not in your face. It's there so people know it exists, because I know everyone needs help right now, I feel like. Well, not everyone, but most of us. There's a lot of people that need help. So you don't want to throw it, because there's a sea of people that need help. So you're just kind of putting it off to the side, but then focus on what you can create and what kind of value you can provide. And if you can create something that people want to share, that's even better. So start thinking about the things that you've shared and think, is there anything that I can create that can help make that viral, type of thing? And usually, most of the time, it's about some sort of value that they've created. Usually it's something funny or something relatable. And that's the same thing that you should do with whatever you're trying to do, because obviously the more people that see it, the more chances you have of not only not only making a little bit more money, but also that the content that you've created has reached out to people. Another thing is don't make it about numbers, because even if you're just trying to go for depth, all it takes is one person, and they may never tell you. You never know what your reach is. So Patreon aside, making money aside, that's a survive. Like, we need that to survive. But don't judge things off numbers, because you could have a really deep conversation with one person, and it could mean more than a shallow conversation with 200,000 people. There's a lot of shallow things on the internet, obviously, a lot of superficial things. And it's a numbers game, which is good for ego and bragging. But if you actually have this need to make a difference, I feel like you really want to focus on creating a really, even if it only hits one person, if you've saved one person's life, you will never know that. So you got to approach it in that way, I feel like. I think that's a good way to do it. I think that's really all I wanted to say. Mostly we're here, I don't think it's always about who's the most powerful. I think it's about who's the most adaptable, and also just who can keep those connections going. And what I mean by connections is human needs will always be the same, but our environments will change, society changes. So how quickly we can adapt will make all the difference in what we do and how successful we are. I hope you guys are all doing well, and really take care of yourselves, Okay, well, I've got a live stream happening in 3 hours, so I will get off my soapbox. I hope some of this has helped really think about, I do think it is good. I think more people should be getting on here and creating instead of just watching. I mean, watching is great too, but creating, I feel like, and sharing, and then just the give and take of being an artist, I think is a really great place to be. Let me know if y'all need anything else. Feel free to message me. I'm gonna try to be online a little bit more. I'm still trying to pitch my other work, performance work for the future. I still have some plans that I'm trying to do, but right now most of it is online. All right, I will talk to y'all soon. See some of y'all in a few hours.